Hey there, my name is Scott McDermott, and this is my wife Hillary.
Hello.
And we have a son who's 7 who has ADHD and autism. And we want to tell you a little bit about something that we've discovered that has completely changed our lives and his. Our son's name is Caden, and he got diagnosed in March, April this year, 2019, with ADHD and autism. And it really helped us a lot in a big sense because you kind of think you're crazy or you don't know what's going on and you can't figure out why you can't figure out your child. We couldn't. It was crazy making.
Why is he driving me crazy every morning?
Yeah. Why can't he just get dressed? Why does he freak out over the littlest things? Why does he not understand simple things? You know, like being underneath the staircase and reaching out and grabbing mommy's ankles because he thinks it's funny, and then mom falls down the stairs and almost breaks her leg, and then he gets yelled at, and he's upset that he's been yelled at, but no empathy for the fact that my wife is on the ground with damage. So
holding my ankle. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just couldn't figure out what was going on, and then years later we finally got this diagnosis. It's like, oh, that answers so many questions. But we were still really struggling. So he's had an aide through pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, grade 1, and he just started grade 2. So last year in grade 1, he was having so many problems. He couldn't last the whole day in the classroom at all. There was just no way. Our school has a program they call the STEPS program, and I've forgotten what the acronym means, but it's a sensory program where they calm the children down who've deregulated and escalated, and they put them in a quiet room with a one-on-one counselor, and they get them back to good again, and go through a bunch of different things to keep them safe and regulated, and then they reintroduce them back in the classroom when they've calmed down, and it was just little things setting him off. And he was in the steps room more than he was in the classroom. So of course he's falling behind, and it's stressful. The teacher's stressed, the other kids are stressed, they don't want to be around him. He didn't know how to play with kids in the playground. He would play make-believe games but not understand social cues at all, and there was problems with him hurting other kids because he didn't know what he was doing, and all kinds of stuff. He also had repetitive sounds, and he would have trouble starting a sentence. So he would try to tell you something, and I've got videos of this, and I think they're going to try to show you those too, but he would try to start a sentence and repeat the first sound, like oh, 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 and this Lego character does whatever this Lego, blah, 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 blah. And it got to the point he could hardly talk sometimes, especially he got really excited. And it was really hard. And it'd been going his whole life, but it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And we just didn't know what was going on. And then he would develop these tics, these guttural noises, like, and then that became the thing where he couldn't finish a sentence without going, and it was awful to listen to. And then that would turn into hand movements, and he would tap his hand several times to talk.
Yeah, there was never anything that lasted for a long time, but it kind of went in and out of these different types of things, physical things or the verbal things.
Yeah, it was kind of like the latest tic, and whether it was tapping his face or scratching his ear or clearing his throat or sniffing or tapping his hands or stomping his foot. Oh man, he would stomp his foot. That was a big thing for a while. And it just was getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and it was debilitating. Like, he couldn't talk to you because he had to tap the desk a certain way a certain number of times before he could speak, and it was really tough. And so we got into a professional center to have him diagnosed, which was amazing. And then we saw a pediatrician, and everything was confirmed, ADHD and autism, and they prescribed bifenton to try for him on a very, very small little handshake dose. And I don't know whose son that was, but that wasn't our little boy. After, like, within 10 days, he was the problems and the escalations and the aggravation and the paranoia, and he was seeing things and hearing things, and it was horrible. And so we stopped that instantly, stopped the medication cold. And because it was crazy making for everybody at school, it was dangerous. It was, he tried to choke a kid because he didn't like the way he sounded in French. Like, it was awful. And it was about that time that we were talking some close family friends, and my friend Mary Ellen said, well, you should get a nikken necklace. And I was like, oh, what? She said, well, it's a magnetic necklace. And I was like, I don't understand how that helps. And I mean, I've been a personal trainer for 22 years, and I've owned a gym, and I'm pretty science minded. So I listened, and I did a little research, and I looked into it, and the theory all comes around about cell phone waves, FM, AM, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. We're bathed in electronic signals, and the theory is that children with autism and ADHD, their minds are more sensitive to that noise and that signal interference. And the necklace creates a field that reduces that. And I thought, for whatever it costs, I don't know, what are the things worth, $70 or 60, whatever I'm like, yeah, like, we just spent thousands and thousands of dollars in psychologists and psychiatrists, and yeah, I'll try a necklace. So I bought one for me and one for my son, because of course if daddy wears the necklace, it's cool. And so we got these necklaces, and the changes in my son were profound and awesome. It was really cool. So he had the necklace on for about 3 weeks, and things at school got so much better. Sorry, kind of matters. He wasn't in the STEPS program all the time anymore, and the teachers were noticing a difference, and he was able to process things and learn and get along better, and the auditory tics reduced, and the vocal tics reduced, and the amount of times he repeated his initial sound went away. It wasn't doing it anymore. It was awesome. Anyway, I'm scientific minded, and I'm a trainer, so I said, okay, we have to be scientific about this. It's been 3 weeks, we have to take the necklace off. And I know you weren't too keen on that at first. You were like, we really have to take it off. It's really, things are good. Yeah, we got to take it off. We got to see if it's really the necklace. And we took the necklace off, and was it like 5 days? And you were like, can we put it back on again, please? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to exactly define it, but at one point he had a sub in the room, and that's always difficult when...
Substitute teacher.
Especially when there's something just odd about the room. It's not the same as it usually is. And I'm not sure if it was a sub teacher or a sub educational assistant as his aide, but he got along really well with them, and he just did absolutely fine. And we got a report later that he had done just great with this sub. So I talked to him about it, and we were sitting and doing a kind of an exercise, like I do little lessons at home. And so we were sitting there doing that, and I said, so you did really well with the sub. And I like to celebrate that kind of moment, like, hey, good job, buddy, that was great. And then he said, well, don't thank me, thank the bracelet. So he's referring to this Kenko power band from Nikken.
Yeah, he wears it like a bracelet because it's too big for his neck. He doesn't like necklaces. He doesn't like the way it feels. But he wears it on his ankle or his wrist. So
I said, do you mean your anklet? And he said, yeah. And it just somehow has a regulating effect. And it's really hard for me to define, but it has some form of a regulating effect for him, which makes a really nice difference. And I just wanted it back on. Like, it was a bedtime sequence, and I'm like, can we put this back on? Because, wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
He has it on all the time. The only time he takes it off in the bath or whatever. But it's changed our lives. It's changed his life. His school life is radically different. He was spending up to 85% of his day in the STEPS room one-on-one with a counselor, and now he's in the classroom all day. And if he gets really upset with something, he calms down right away. And it's like he now has the ability to kind of pause for a second rather than getting upset right away. He still has autism and he still has ADHD and he's still a handful, but it's day and night. The difference is unbelievable. And he can speak clearly and articulate, and he's not stuck all the time, and he doesn't ever do all those little noise ticks anymore like that. He just doesn't do that anymore. It's unbelievable. And it's a necklace. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. It's not drugs. We're not drugging our 7-year-old. So we're thrilled with it. And I got to tell you too, for me, I crashed and nearly died in a race 4 years ago in a bike accident, in a triathlon, and I had severe brain damage, and I really struggled after that for quite a long time, and the necklace has helped me. I can remember people's names better. I can concentrate better. I'm more calm. I'm not as edgy. I sleep better. It's made a difference for me. So that's kind of cool too. But anyway, that's our story. I hope it helps. I hope that more people find out about this. We can't say enough about it. And it's a real gift. So, and there's other stuff. We want to get the bed stuff and just even move more advanced. But for now, we're on the necklaces, and it's changed our world.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for listening.